Hello. We're having an ASWOU Candidate Election Forum. I'm going to be asking our candidates some questions. You can leave if it is bothering you or stay. That would be awesome. And I'm very sorry if we interrupted your studying. Okay. So these are our candidates. Our first one is Ava Engelhard. She's running for president. Our second presidential candidate is Morgan Pemberton. And then our vice presidents is Emily Phoun and Arina Golvokina. All right, my first question is, what is one personal value that will guide your decisions in office? And we're going to go down the line.
I value honesty, teamwork, and the students' voices, and so that will guide my decisions and work in office. The students' voices come first. We represent you guys, and we are here to be your voices, and so that will drive all of my decisions and work. I will work and drive with the students' voices in mind, making sure that they are being heard and that I'm doing all of my work with their wants and voices in mind.
For me, I value not only honesty, but also trust, communication, and the idea of transparency, especially with what's been going on on campus. I want to be able to open up students to be able to communicate more, as well as kind of just being able to lead from within I always follow the idea that you should trust your heart, even if you don't know where you're going, because you might not know where it might lead you.
Okay, so my name is Morgan, and one value that I will be leading with is integrity. I believe in doing what is right, even when you think no one is watching. I have a very strong moral code, and I know that I trust myself and I trust others, so doing what is right is always what is best.
Two things for me are respect and making sure the student voices are heard. Respect because everyone deserves to be treated like a human being, no matter where you come from. If somebody's struggling, help them out. That's like my biggest thing that I always love helping people. And then making sure your voices are heard, because I want to be a voice for those who cannot speak for themselves, and I want to use my position of power in a good way.
Thank you. That was brilliant answers. Okay, my second question is, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing students right now, and how do you plan to make sure their voices are heard?
The biggest challenge I see right now is transparency and students knowing what is going on and how to get involved. And I plan to, next year, if I was to be president, I plan to make sure that students always have access and know what is going on, what the committees are, where these conversations are happening, and that there is always a student voice or student representative at the table. I have been doing this year on UBAC especially, and so I plan to continue to do that into the next year.
Yeah, for me, especially as if I end up getting the vice president position, I want to be able to kind of open up more with transparency that is happening on campus. But one idea that I would possibly have if I was in the position would be to kind of host what we did this term, having the town hall with faculty and staff, kind of just being able to build that connection with the students as well as staff, being able to have kind of one-on-one conversations with them, kind of having students' opinions be heard, as well as getting them familiarized, as well as connecting with faculty to be able to kind of have students be able to be successful in any way possible.
My name is Morgan, and one of the biggest issues I see students facing is disconnectedness. I think we're also disconnected from each other. Faculty is disconnected from admin to students, students and faculty, all of that. We're also disconnected. Departments are disconnected. And I want to make sure that there is more of a bridge and there is a connection, and that we're all working towards a goal. We're all examining what we want our goals to be. I think that teamwork is a shared aspect. I don't think leadership is just one person leads and everyone else follows. I believe it's a connected web of people and ideas. So I really want to prioritize, and I will prioritize, connectedness and community involvement.
The biggest issue I see is student representation, not enough in certain areas, and how I plan to do that is getting input on what they see and creating opportunities based off of that to make sure that their voices are heard, because that is a really important aspect of being a part of the university.
Okay, our next question is role-specific questions. So my presidential candidates are going to answer the question, how do you plan to foster collaboration between ASWOU and the administration?
I think kindness and communication is the way to go about it. We need to have honesty and empathy. I plan to have open communication and be constantly reaching out and emailing and being in touch, and that constant communication and openness I feel is the true way that I can foster a good connection between ASWOU and admin for the sake of the students and transparency.
My name is Morgan, and as a presidential candidate and as a president, it's super important that you're able to code switch a little bit. You can talk to students, think like a student, and then also step up and talk to administration and people who are maybe older or in higher positions of power than you. I also believe that, kindness is great, but I believe that stepping up and being brave and being true to who you are and what you believe and what students want is always the thing. Sometimes I think faculty, they look down on people who are younger or students, and it's important to show up as a strong force and a confident force that you know what you're doing and all of that. And I just think that I would really be able to do that.
Right, thank you. Our next role-specific question is for our vice president candidates. How will you support the presidents and maintain effective communication within ASWOU?
So for me, if I do end up getting the vice president role, one of the big things that I value most is not only communication, but also transparency. Being able to have one-on-one conversations with not only the president, but also the team members, just making sure that they're not only in line, but also that I can do what I can to not only support them as a student, but also support the student body in general with ideas that they might have or any issues that they're having. I want to be able to be there and kind of be not only supporting the students, but also be a role model to the younger generation that might want to come to WOU, that want to be able to have their journey and be inspired by not only what I'm doing, but also what all the other students are doing as well, to see if this is something that they might want to do.
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, a repeat of the question. How will you support the presidents and maintain effective communication within ASWOU?
How I plan on maintaining effective communication is always constantly keeping in touch, seeing what the students need, putting it back to the president in the conversation. Also just finding out what is needed here on campus, making sure I'm working with the team that can help make that happen, and also letting students know at the same time transparency, what is happening, what I'm doing to help make sure that what they want is being done or to the best of my abilities.
Okay, our fourth question is, what's one thing you'd like to change or improve at WOU, and how would you do it?
One of the things that I want to change or improve at WOU is the involvement of students in these larger conversations and this a better transparency. My hope is to make sure that we have an easy way, an accessible way for all students to know what is going on, what are the current conversations, and that there's always a student at the table. I would ensure open communication within faculty, admin, the students, and ASWOU. And so that's what I hope to improve on and would improve on, and how I would.
One thing that I hope to improve on is open communication with faculty, staff, admin, as well as being able to build a connection and kind of strengthen the relationship between faculty, staff, and students, because I know from experience, not a lot of students know about some of the faculty and staff that we have here on campus, as well as some of the other departments. I want to be able to highlight some of their successes, as well as highlight some of the resources that are available to students, because I know not a lot of students know about like some of the resources, like the food pantry or Abby's house. I want to be able to kind of build on that transparency, but also collaborate with some of the different departments to kind of shine their light, so that way students can be able to know what's going on campus. Also connecting with, like I mentioned, admin and staff, kind of building that transparency, like inviting them to some of the like events, trying to get them to know who we are as a student, but also hearing what ideas we have and what issues we are having on campus.
My name is Morgan, and one thing that I think WOU needs to work on, and specifically that I would want to work on, would be serving on ASWOU for this year. I've seen a lot of the insides of kind of how student government works, and even a little bit into administration and faculty. And I think our system right now is not functioning how it should be, and I would love to, and I think I have the skill set to really remake, remodel, reincorporate new ideas, because right now our student government is just not student governing the way that I think it should be. And I have the skill set to promote a really strong team of people who will be able to go out there and do stuff, to support faculty with our decisions, to support directors and other positions of power that are in ASWOU. I think that there is just a system that is a little broken and needs a little bit of tweaking. Obviously, I don't think I can break a broken system like higher ed is, but I do think that some structural changes do need to happen in order for us to see some more progress.
One biggest thing I will change on campus is student voices, because there are times where there's not enough student voices in important decisions where there should be, and I want to be able to use my position of power in a good way to make sure that there are opportunities for important decisions to have student voices like heard on and get their input.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, so those questions were, they were given an opportunity to write their answers for those questions, and the next following questions are kind of on the spot questions. My first question is, in what ways will you advocate for students whose voices often go unheard? If you need a moment to think, let me know. Anyone like to go first?
I think the most important thing with regards to students' voices, especially those who are unheard, is kind of the modalities we go about contacting students for their opinions. I think it can be so one-sided that we do things a certain way because that's how we're used to doing them. I think there are so many student voices who go underserved because they're not contacted in the way that we traditionally advertise. I think it's super important to think about accessibility. What is the point of having something if it can't be accessed by all, or if it's not widely available to all? So one of the ways I want to advocate for students is different ways to contact students, different ways to be involved, and really getting out there and seeing the student populations who maybe kind of slip under the radar a little bit.
I would agree. To communicate with students' voices who are a little less heard, I want to make sure that there is multiple ways of communicating. I'm not just sending an email, or I'm not just sending a Instagram post, but it's like multiple ways of communication so that it's making sure that it reaches every area of campus and every group on campus. And I would make sure that I am involved with the students on campus. I am hearing their opinion and their voices front and center. I am involved. I'm a student first, or not, I'm a student as well, and so I'll make sure that I am talking to students and hearing their voices, making sure that I reach out physically as well.
Yeah, I also agree as well with this idea of open transparency and open communication with students. Another thing that I would do personally is I would also try and word things to where it can be understandable for students, because I know we have students here who English is not their first language. They learn many different languages, so I want to be able to kind of be more open with some of the students who might not be able to speak English and give them information that is accessible to them in either their native language or their second language, and kind of just build open communication with students, because we're every single one of us, we're students. We are pretty much students serving students, and we want to be able to do what's best to not only support us in our own journey, but also support the students as well.
For me, I'll make sure student voices are heard, especially those that are not heard often, because English is my second language, so I'll create like opportunities that are non-traditional to like speak out. Like some people like to talk over coffee, so I'll create like coffee chats or just some non-traditional ways that students feel more comfortable talking to, instead of just at an event where a bunch of people sit and ask questions. I'll create like interactive opportunities.
Thank you. Okay, our next question is, how do you plan to hold yourself accountable once you're elected?
I plan to hold myself accountable by listening to people's voices, whether that's my team or the students. If I hear feedback, I'm going to take it and I'm going to like actively reflect on it and change it. I'm going to listen to my team. I'm going to, it's very collaborative. Like this is not, if I was president, it's not a me decision, it's a my team, it's the students, I will make sure that like the students and my staff and myself will hold me responsible. I will make sure that nothing that I do is done just solely my decision or solely my own.
I also agree with that, and another thing that I would love to, I would add is that for me, one thing that I value most is accountability from my teammates. Someone being able to hold me accountable for not only the actions that I do, but also for the choices that I make. And I want to be able to do what I can to inspire others that they can be able to do their dream, even if it's something small. Kind of just being able to build goals, creating goals for the team, whether it's for the term or for the academic school year. Just being able to collaborate as well as time management is definitely a big one. As a leader, speaking for myself, doing multiple things at once, I want to make sure that I am putting 100% effort into not only the team, but doing what I do, knowing that there's someone out there who can be inspired and also benefit from what I'm doing, as well as what the team is doing.
One thing about me regarding accountability and stuff like that is I really do reflect on everything that I do, a crazy amount. You can actually ask anyone who knows me, and that is just how it is. But holding yourself accountable is a lot of sitting with a feeling that you have done something wrong, or maybe it didn't go as you planned. Taking that moment, feeling that, taking a step back and saying, what do I need to do differently next time, is the best way to take accountability, because you can feel bad about something, but feeling bad doesn't get you anywhere most of the time. So taking active steps, consulting with people that maybe you've harmed or hurt, and seeing what's the best way they think you can rectify it, what's some research on your own you can do that can rectify something, as well as relying on your team, relying on your advisors, all of that to kind of analyze where problems are and take the step to moving towards fixing them.
How I plan to hold myself accountable is at events, if I create any and I get feedback like maybe this didn't go well, I'll reflect on it, on how I could have done better. And also being organized too is really important. So if something doesn't go right, just getting feedback, reflecting on how I can make it better, how I can work with my team to make something better.
Thank you. Okay, our next question is, what's something about ASWOU specifically, or student government, you think needs to change, and how would you go about making that change?
I think ASWOU as a whole and our student government needs to be slightly restructured, kind of adding on to what Morgan said. And so with that, I plan to really reflect on how are we running our student government. I will plan to, if I was to become president and elect the directors, I would very cautiously and carefully elect those directors and make sure that I am picking people in mind that would achieve the goals that I and the students need to have. I think that we need to restructure a tad bit, and so possibly looking around at how we run and what our goals are, and trying to make sure that we as a student government have a goal, or have goals that we want to achieve in a set time, or through the term, through the year, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I also agree too that the current ASWOU structure does need a little bit of remodeling. One thing that I would want to do is kind of rework it a bit, but also look carefully at the positions and kind of see when electing the new team, what are some things that students want? What are some things that students need? Which is a really big thing. And I also want to make sure that when electing the team, I want to make sure I have students on there who not only value teamwork, but also want to make a big difference here on campus and inspire others to do the exact same thing as they're doing.
I agree. ASWOU has a lot of structural issues, and I think that would be one of my first things that I would want to do is redefine how next year's elections would work, as in like some of the roles and some of the positions. I think that ASWOU has undergone a lot of changes, just as WOU has in the last 10 or so years, and so I would like to see a little bit more of a difference and distinction and different directors. I would like to bring back state and federal affairs as a director. I would like to reevaluate some other branch head positions and see how we can go about making ASWOU function a little bit more efficiently and a little bit more with purpose than it currently is functioning. I also believe in modeling good behavior. I don't do anything. I don't expect people to do anything I don't do. I want to lead with good energy, good purpose, and I know that that energy really does affect your team, and so those are kind of the ways that I would like to revamp ASWOU, as well as like to talk about this probably for 10 years, but I don't want to take up the whole floor space.
Definitely reconstruction, and then also the communication aspect, because I feel like there are some moments where one branch isn't communicating with the other as it should be, so definitely making sure that they're communicating as things are moving along.
Okay, thank you guys for your amazing responses. I'm out of questions, so I would love to open it up to the floor if anyone would like to ask our candidates any questions.
Thank you.
My name is Cadence Holmes. I want to know what sets you apart from each other. What makes you unique, and why do you think that you would benefit the student population?
Thank you for that wonderful question. Okay.
I think what sets me apart is my determination and my empathy. I am extremely determined. When I set my mind to something, or when I hear something needs to be changed, I will not stop until it is changed or until it gets done. If there's something that needs to be achieved, if I'm hearing something from the students, I will not stop or will not rest until it is done or changed, or they get what they need and deserve. I'm also extremely empathetic. I always do my best to see it from other sides and understand how people are feeling and how every side is feeling, and I strive to incorporate that into my everyday, whether that's work, personal, or school, and I think that those are the two things that really set me apart.
I would say the two things that set me apart is I'm passionate about what I do, and I always live every day by the quote that you should be passionate about what you're doing, even if it's something small and that others might not see, as well as determination and integrity and empathy. I have been told by many different people, and even you can ask others and they can say the exact same thing, that I am not only open-minded but also kind-hearted. I do things that always gives other people a smile, even if it's a bad day. I want to be able to show students that I'm there for them, and that even if I do get the VP position, I want to be there for not only them but also the team as well.
I would say, so my name is Morgan, I would say what sets me apart from other candidates is just the amount of things that I've experienced and the amount of leadership opportunities I have had. Being involved in so many things really gives you a different outlook on every little thing. and I have learned a lot from all of my positions. I'm serving as Destination Western Coordinator. I'm currently ASL Club Vice President, as well as I'm on the board for the Native Club, and I was just a part of the powwow committee. I know what it's like to serve on a student org. I've been serving on student org since I was a sophomore. I'm involved in leadership experiences, and I think that really sets me apart, like my portfolio of work and experience and insight, as well as, I don't know if this sets me apart, but just in general, I like to think I'm a friendly face on campus, and even if we knew each other in Destination Western like 4 years ago, I think it was less than 4 years ago, that like I'm still gonna wave to you, like we're still friendly, and that's what I think sets me apart.
So for me, two things that set me apart is at a young age, I've been through so much, and probably everyone has too, but I had to learn at a really young age how to speak up for myself, how to communicate with others, and making sure those voices are heard, which also kind of leads me to my second thing is my greatest strength is learning from my mistakes. So if I do something and it goes wrong, learning how to take that moment and make it into something better and learn from those mistakes and hopefully make other opportunities to better.
Perfect, thank you. Would anyone else like to ask our candidates any questions?